Doctor Who, The Brain of Morbius, the 10th story of the 4th Doctor, is written by Robin Bland, a pseudonym of Terrance Dicks, and Robert Holmes, and starring Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen. So the first draft was written by Terrance Dicks. He used some ideas from his script of the stage play Doctor Who and the Daleks in the 7 Keys to Doomsday to a requirement from Philip Hinchcliffe for a story about a human-robot relationship. However, after delivery, Terrance Dicks was out of the country when it was decided that the robots realised under the budget constraints. In exercising the character, script editor Robert Holmes had to undertake the substantial rewrites without letting Terrance Dicks know, as they couldn't contact him. The robot character was replaced with a scientist who needed a different motivation. When Terrance Dicks found out, he wasn't happy and didn't want his name credited and have it go under Bland pseudonym, but it ended up with Robin Bland. On October 1975, the story was filmed in studios. So the story was an influence from the Frankenstein, which I do love the vibes.
Call Frankenstein what you will. A demon had made a man-made monster, and now the monster was the master.
Oh, what are you going to do?
On the planet Karn, Kondo captures Chris the Mutt, the race that appeared in The Mutants. Nice to see them back. Chris is never named on screen. His name is given only in the closing titles and Radio Times programme listing for The Brain of Morbius Part 1. So he brought the severed head to Mahendri Solon, which is pretty grim. He finds it unsuitable for his work. Meanwhile, TARDIS landed and the Doctor shouted thin air for messing about with the TARDIS and bring him to Karn.
I know you're up there, so come on out and show yourselves!
It was the Time Lords he tried to shout at. As the Doctor and Sarah Jane explored the planet, they stopped to have a drink with Solon and Kondo. The Doctor recognises the head sculpture. There's a scary scene where the wind blew open the door, knocked down chandelier to the table, and blowing the fire out. As Sisterhood of Karn learns that there's a TARDIS, Marin orders the Sisterhoods to bring it by using a former circle of meditation, which is pretty cool. After the Doctor and Sarah Jane are knocked out by the drink, Solon takes the Doctor to the lab for an operation, while Sarah Jane woke up and sneaks around in the lab to find the Doctor, where a creature without a head sat up. The Doctor was taken by Sisterhood of Karn. Marin tells the Doctor to confess that the Time Lord sent him. We also learn that Morbius... No, not that Morbius, a different Morbius. Anyway, he was executed due to his crimes. So then Solon came in. As the Doctor was about to be sentenced to burn at the stake, Solon requested to preserve the Doctor's head, then to accept Kondo in the Doctor's place. But then Sarah Jane rescued him, but the flash of power from Marin's ring blinded Sarah Jane. There's a really intense scene where Kondo was about to kill Solon due to being offered in the Doctor's place. Solon begs for his life by replacing Kondo's hook with a real hand. And there's an interesting cliffhanger where Sarah Jane walks into the lab and a disembodied brain in a tank accuses her of being an agent of the Sisterhood sent to destroy him. So creepy. Tom Baker is fantastic as the Doctor, as always. I love Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. She's definitely amazing. Philip Maddock plays Dr. Mahendri Solon, a scientist who was a follower of the Morbius. He's absolutely phenomenal. Christopher Barry wanted to cast a horror film icons like Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Vincent Price. John Bennett and Freddie Jones were also considered for the role before it went to Maddock, who previously played Broccoli in Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, Elec in The Crotons, the Warlord in the War Games, and later played Fenner in The Power of Kroll, and few roles in the Big Finish audio including Master and Return of the Crotons. Morbius is a criminal Time Lord who sparks and loses the Time Lord's first civil war, abandoning Gallifrey to attack and conquer other planets, and involved in the last Great Time War under the name of General. After he was executed, he became a talking brain and then artificial, monstrous form created by Solon, and I think he's badass. Michael Spice does a great job voicing him, as well as Stuart Fell, who physically played him. Also, that Morbius is the second incarnation, as the statue of the head was the first. In the story, the monster was referred to simply as Morbius. He was first given the name Morbius Monster in the novelisation, and later in Justin Richards' 2005 reference book, Prowse Monsters and Villains. Colin Fay plays Kondo, who serves Maddox after being rescued from Dravidian starship that had crash-landed on Karn. He had to be amputated in order for his life to be saved, which is his left arm. Solon lied to him that he'll give him his left arm back. I thought he's great too. Love the fact that his voice is pretty deep. Kondo, like. I tried. Bernard Bresslaw, Michael Kilgareth and Stephen Thorne were considered for the role before Colin Fay took it, and apparently he was fortunate find because he was an opera singer and he was cheap to hire. Other cost cutting included hiring only a single professional dancer who was copied in the scenes by actresses who had been chosen because of the previous dancing experience. Cynthia Grenville plays Marin of the Sisterhood of Karn, the High Priestess of the Temple of the Flame on Karn. She's fantastic. Sheila Burrell, Mary Morris and Eileen Way were considered for the role before Grenville was cast. Gilly Brown plays Oika, a Gallifreyan priestess of the Sisterhood who serves Marin but then takes over as High Priestess after Marin dies. She also helps the Doctor. I really like her, she's great. Stephen Moffat said in an interview, Ohila was named in a reference to Oika to suggest a connection between the two characters, which is interesting. Sisterhood of Karn, also Sisterhood of the Flame, are Keepers of the Flame, of utter boredom, a society related to and they associated with the Time Lords, dedicated to protecting the sacred flame which produced the elixir of life. They were originally from Gallifrey, but they got moved to Karn. I really like them, I thought they are fascinating. I also love the fact that, like, sacred fire. Fantastic performances. The casting, the direction by Christopher Barry, and the atmosphere is awesome. I love the horror stuff in there. Dudley Simpson's music score is brilliant. It fits in well. The effects for its time and low budget is really good as well. Solon got Sarah Jane out of the room as he was calming the brain down. Sarah Jane then locked Solon inside. Meanwhile, the Doctor returns to Sisterhoods to restore Sarah Jane's eyesight, which of course he's recaptured, but according to Oika, Sarah Jane's sight will return. The Doctor persuades Marin to let him examine the sacred flame. Convinced there must be a natural reason for its falling, he drops a firecracker down the shaft. It dislodges a build-up of soot, and the flame is restored to its full height. After Kondo carried Sarah Jane to take her to the lab, he realizes his left arm was on the body of a Morbius creature, and he was about to attack Solon. And there's a scene where it's typically not shown in Doctor Who besides Torchwood, a big blood splattering from Kondo's stomach after he was shot by Solon. That resulted Mary Whitehouse of the National Viewers and Listeners Association complained, as well she did in other Hinchcliffe-produced Doctor Who stories, calling the Brain of Morbius some of the sickest and most horrific material seen on children's television, which I personally think Mary Whitehouse has exaggerated. Christopher Barry admitted that he regretted adding the blood explode. So after the brain is knocked onto the floor and got Sarah Jane helping him, reconstructed the creature, while Solon finds the Doctor unconscious, there is one of the most terrifying cliffhanger where Morbius creature rises and Sarah Jane's eyesight is back, but unaware that the creature is behind her. Luckily, Sarah Jane spotted the creature in time and got away. She's saved by Kondo before he loses the fight between him and Morbius. Also, Solon was betrayed by Morbius as he attacks him. The Doctor convinced Solon to hunt down Morbius while the creature killed one of the Sisterhood. The Doctor injects cyanide gas into the lab, killing Solon, but not before Morbius. So later Morbius confronts the Doctor. He now has the lungs of a virus trap, rendering him immune to the cyanide. He boasts that despite his monstrous appearance, his followers will rise to join him once more.
Chop Suey, the Galactic Emperor.
You will be the first to die!
Brain getting a little overheated, is it? Careful, not as strong as it was.
The Doctor challenges Morbius for mind bending, where it shows the images of the previous Doctors, William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee. There's also more faces where some say they could be the Doctor's faces before Hartnell, referred as the Morbius Doctors, and some say those are the Morbius past faces. This was never explored again, as it didn't make sense in the show's canon until the Timeless Children came around, telling us that those faces are the Doctors during pre-Hartnell. Those images of faces are nearly all played by crew members. The Seeds of Doom production unit manager, George Galaccio, script editor Robert Holmes, production assistant, who is also director, Graham Harper, the director Douglas Camfield, producer Philip Hinchcliffe, production assistant Christopher Baker, the writer Robert Banks Stewart, and the director Christopher Barry. Philip Hinchcliffe said, and I quote, "We tried to get famous actors for the faces of the Doctor, but because no one would volunteer, and it is true to say that I attempted to imply that William Hartnell was not the first Doctor. After a complaint that actors were not used, the BBC paid a sum of money to the Acting Union Equities Benevolent Fund. In 2020, it was announced that Philip Hinchcliffe, George Galaccio and Graham Harper reprised their roles as the Doctor for an official fan film, The Timeless Doctors, produced by multimedia artist Stuart Humphreys. However, the idea of the Time Lords are limited to 12 regenerations was introduced in The Deadly Assassins. Both that story and the three Doctors said William Hartnell was the earliest Doctor. The Virgin Missing adventure called Fusion by Lance Parkin implies that one of these prior Doctors was the incarnation of the Doctor active at the time of the birth of Susan Foreman. However, the subsequent Virgin New Adventures novel, Long Barrow, says that Hartnell's Doctor was the first, implying instead that the faces represent incarnations of the other. One of the founders of the Time Lord civilization, of whom the Doctor is the reincarnation, so then the Timeless Children said that the faces were pre-First Doctor.
The child is you.
And also said that the Doctor was not previously subject to the same regeneration limit as the rest of the Time Lords. The overloading made the Doctor passed out, then Sisterhood armed with torches killed the Morbius after knocking him off the cliff. The drink that Sisterhood gave to the Doctor restored his life. It was a fresh draught of elixir produced by Maren's self-sacrifice to the sacred flame. It looks really cool, where she appears young in the blaze of the sacred flame. The Doctor and Sarah Jane disappeared away in the TARDIS after giving Oika a pack of firecrackers in case they have any more trouble. This is a fantastic story, one of my favourite Fourth Doctor stories. What did you think of The Brain of Morbius? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.